Hello everyone, I'm going to walk you through how to set up the Ocean Odyssey mission, the mat and the pieces that you got, and I'm also going to go over some of the rules. So let's get started. You all received one of these. It's the Ocean Odyssey kit, and it's a nice storage container there. You can keep everything together. Now inside you're going to find your checklist. Please hang on to this just to make sure that when you return it on June 15th you have all the pieces. I've just gone through and made sure everything is there. So everything should be good to go. Okay, I've already got one set up here, so we'll use that as an example. So this is the base, and the base is where your robot is going to start. So you'll line the robot up in the base, and then you will run your program and get it to go out and do things. Now here's my robot example. I apologize, I don't have one here. So the rule we're going to use is that all of the wheels have to be inside the green triangle. So your robot, if it has an attachment out here to grab things or touch things, it can be outside, but all of the wheels have to be completely inside the base. Okay, so if I looked at it from this side, that would be good, that's no good. Okay, so everything's inside base. Your robot is going to go out onto the field and do different missions, and then come back to the base, and once it comes back into base you can get it to you can change things on it, change attachments, you can put the next program, that sort of thing. When the robot goes out and does something and then it's coming back to base, so as it comes back into base, as long as any part of it crosses into the base, then they can grab the robot. Okay, so then they can grab the robot, bring it back. As well, anything that it's retrieving, for example, it has to get the coral reef. If it's pulling back the coral reef in some kind of attachment, as soon as any part of the robot is in base and the coral reef is secured by the robot, that counts as the coral reef being in base. Now I'm going to go through some of the missions. We'll start up here. This Ocean Odyssey symbol is where the submarine is supposed to be deployed. So the submarine is going to start with the kids in base. So they can put it onto their robot however they want to do it. They can push it, they can drop it. And the idea is to get it completely inside the Ocean Odyssey symbol, and if it's falling over, that's okay, but if it's standing up, it's extra points, and you'll see that in the scoring sheet. So that's the submarine mission. A bit further away from it is the coral reef. Now the coral reef is going to line up. There are 4 sort of black ticks there, and when you put it, all of them should be on there. If you'll know you got it wrong. If you can't get them to match up, then it means you got it flipped around. So that's how the coral reef is going to be set up. Next to them we have our 4 fish. So on the signs it says green, green, shark, and green. So the idea here is you're going to line them up so that they sit nicely. The bottoms should line up with the squares. Get the shark and the other green fish. And for this mission, what we're trying to do is catch the fish, but not catch the fish we're not trying to catch. And so the black or the dark gray fish here is the type of fish. It says shark, it can be whatever you want to call it, but it's a fish that we don't want to be interfering with. We don't want to get them caught in the nets. So what we need to do for this one is just knock any of the fish out of alignment with their squares. And if you can tap all 3 without touching the shark, then you've completed that mission. Okay, and you're going to get kind of points for each one, and if you get them all, it's bonus points. Moving over, down here we have our shipping container and the crates. So the crates here line up on the square, or rectangles. There's one for each one, as well as the crate. You can see there's lines here for the door. So just kind of line it up and then move the door so that it's kind of sitting on there. The idea is to bring the crates back into base so they can grab them and pull them back. And again, as long as they have control of them and the robot enters into base, they count as being in base. Okay, so you're going to get points for each one that you get into there. Next mission, we have the shipping container. This is going to be a tricky one just because of the size of it, but the idea is to bring this back into base. Okay, now some of your students are going to be creative and say, well, they're going to have some kind of monster arm that drops over, and then, well, we're controlled it and we're in base, so it should count. But what we want them to do is actually go out, drive their robot out, So if they are going to score points for this, the robot has to completely leave the base, and then they can grab it, and if they pull it back, and as soon as part of it's in the robot and they have it contained, then it would count. Moving over, we have the pump station. So in the far side, there's the pump station. It gets secured underneath. There are these things called dual lock. So the dual lock lines up with the dual lock that's on the mat, and they just push down, and that kind of secures it nicely. For this mission, the protective structure goes on those squares, or the little triangle-y thingies, and the idea is to push this over so that it is protecting the pump station. Now, for this to be successful, as long as any one of the legs is past, I guess, let's say if the whole leg is past the yellow part, we'll call that good. Okay, so that's the pump station. Two more missions to talk about. This is the flags for mapping the ocean floor. There are 3 of them. There's actually a lot more spots here on the mat. We're going to ignore those ones. We're just going to do the first 3 here. So the first 3 that are closest to the base, you're going to put a blue flag. And for this here, we're going to have the maps facing towards the red box. Okay, so it snaps in there. The arm is going to be on the side closest to the base, like this, that side of it. And there's 3 of them that go there. And for this one, the idea is for them to raise the flags. Okay, so for each flag, they get points for that. The artifact is like a treasure chest, and it sits on this little square here where it says artifacts. And the idea for this is if they can get it completely off of the ship, they get points, but if they can bring it all the way back to base, they're going to get more points. That is it. So those are the missions for Ocean Odyssey. Look forward to seeing you guys on June 15th and see all the wonderful things that you have done. Thanks a lot.